All right, guys, welcome back to the show. This video here is going to be about Purlins. So we have the two 80-foot sidewalls and the 160-foot end wall all framed up and done. You have to leave an end wall open so you can drive in and put your trusses up unless you're having a crane come in. We don't use a crane, so we leave an end wall open. Being that this building is 60 foot wide, you can see behind me that this whole 60-foot wall is all framed out. We laid it out. Now we're going to move the two side sections just to the side, and I'll move that middle one out when it's not so muddy out into the field. And the reason I'm doing that is because when I start with these trusses and purlins, I want to be able to just work right through, and I don't want to spend a half, 3/4 a day building this wall and standing it up. So I want it all ready. That's why we've got it all laid out, nailed together, ready to rock and roll. So the rest of the day we're going to spend marking out our purlins, pre-drilling all the holes, and getting all of our purlin nails started and all the purlins leaned up in the bays. So we are ready to go. 60 foot is a pretty good span, so I don't want to waste any time just messing around. I want to get them up, get the purlins on, and get the building locked down as fast as I can. So let's get going. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need a bigger board. 10, 11. All right, Jake. All right, guys, we are going to measure for our purlins, get them all pre-drilled and nail started. So a couple things to consider when you're measuring. So we're starting on this side of the building, and the opposite side, the columns should match. However, we are going to check. I mean, I'm guessing that we might have one off 1/4 inch or something, but we're still going to check to make sure that they match pretty close to this side. Another thing to consider, I always measure at the bottom because I know the bottom, all the posts are where they need to be. And so I know if I take that measurement, extend it up to the top, my top should be where it needs to be. So make sure if you don't have your grade board on, you're adding that 1.5 inches to this measurement. I have my grade board on, so I'm just going to hook on the end there. And then I'm going to go to, in this case, my post sets in the center. So I'm going to look here, and we are 8 foot to the center of this post. So I'm going to write that down on this board. Here, let me show them. So I marked each of my columns, and I'm going to put 8 foot. So I know from the edge of my building to the center of this post, I am 8 foot. And then we will do that all the way down. Then the first thing you need to do with your first set of purlins is add your overhang length. So I'm 24-inch overhang, so I'm going to add 22.5 inches. And if you're asking why only 22.5, because when I put my fascia board on, that's another 1.5 inches, which is going to give me the 24 inches. So I'm going to write 22.5 there, so I know I need to mark that on my first purlin. So we're just going to continue down the wall. And these are center to center marks. So we're 8 foot, right 191 and 5/8. Got it? I'm gonna mark right there. I'm gonna mark that here. 191. Where's that? I'm marking right there. So now that's gonna be my first purlin. So my first purlins are 20 feet long because we have 16 foot on center posts. I have 2 foot overhang. So I need to make sure I have enough for my overhang and enough overlap, because these purlins are going to sit on end and will stagger. So I got my measurements for my first one, so I'm going to take my tape measure and I'm going to make a new set of marks, or a new set of measurements from here. Just hold it right on that line, Jake.
Okay.
It's a center to center, so you'll put this in the next bay. We are 96 1/4. 192 1/4.
Okay.
Actually, do 192 3/8. Sorry, I'm getting too picky here, but 192 3/8. Good?
Yep.
All right, come to here. This one we have that stub column, so we'll just measure from here first. This one's going to be a little bit shorter because we had to move this post in a little. Good?
Yep.
94 inches.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have to go up there and measure from the center of this over, and we've plumbed this, so we should be good. So 98. This is a Purlin. 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 So we'll just have to, when we make this, we'll just have to, does that make sense?
Yep.
So,
plus the 22.5 at the other end.
at this end, yep, which we'll write that, so we don't forget, 22.5. All right, so there we go. 94 1/4.
Okay.
95. Let's see, that's 95 3/4. This does not have an 1.5 inches on it, so we are 190 1/8 plus 190 1/8 plus 1.5 inches. That's 191 5/8, right? Because that's 4/8, 5/8. 191 5/8. Now, the thing you have to remember on that first one and on this last one, in my case, that truss is getting laminated to the side of the columns, so we have to take that in consideration when we're marking these. It won't be, that first one won't be center to center, it's going to be edge of the truss to center of the column, so we just have to remember that. Okay, Jake? Don't screw this up. All right, now we'll just go over and check the other side and see, you know, just make sure we're not off anything crazy. With a building this span, I mean, you don't want to be off, but, you know, 1/4 inch isn't gonna hurt you. But as we go across, we're gonna make marks on our purlins and line them up with the truss. We'll be pushing and pulling that truss, straighten it as we put them up. So I want to just make sure we're close. 8 foot.
191 5/8.
We're 192 1/4. We're 5/8 off. So just, are you writing these down?
I got 192 1/4.
Okay, so just keep writing them down below on there. So then what I usually do is, so we're 5/8 difference over there than we are here, which is not a big deal. What I'll do is I'll cut all the purlins the same, or mark them all the same. I'll just split the difference, and you will never notice that. What are we?
96 1/4.
Okay, we are 90, let's see, 95 1/4 plus 3, we're 96. Uh, 192 1/4.
192 3/8.
Okay, just write it down though.
Okay.
So I gotta go from that one to this one. 93 and 5/8. What were we, 94?
Yep.
Maybe there are builders out there that nails this every time, just perfect. But I measure.
Eight.
97 and 7/8. What were we?
98.
I get my big feet in here. Justin, do you want to do this?
Yeah, bring the lift over.
95 9/16.
3/4.
Gotta add my 1.5 inches to this one. 96 1/4. What were you?
191 5/8. Because you added.
It's like 5/8 off. All right, so for the most part, we're like basically right on. There's a couple where we were 5/8 off. And if you're asking yourself, how could you possibly be 5/8 off? Well, when you're setting these wet set brackets, it's hard to be perfect. And then you also have the column coming into play. So there's just a lot of variables. I don't feel like that's a big difference. Maybe most builders don't have any variance, but I measure these all and then I'll split the difference. So if you have a 5/8 difference, that's, what is that, 10/16? So you're looking at 5/16 variance over this whole 60-foot span, which you're never gonna see. So that's what I do. I'll split the difference, mark them all the same, and then just run the truss. So because we have so many and we have to do this a bunch of different times, take a 2x4, some stakes, so you have something solid to tap all of those boards up against. If you don't, every time you hit a board with the hammer, it'll want to move your end board here. So just want to make sure you're square, which we are. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it close, because if you're going to strike a line all across these and it's not square, you're going to start off on a bad foot. So we've got our first bay, 34 of them squared up, sucked down to here. So now we'll start the marking process. We can just measure 24 off this, Jake, because this is basically acting as our fascia board.
Okay.
So instead of doing 22.5, we'll measure 24, make a mark. And then we should get our straight edge. I would do some chalk line, but I want these marks to stay there. So we'll get the straight edge and just mark them.
Good.
You good?
Yep.
All right, now once we get all these cut, to make it easier, we can strike lines down the side. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So our first one's 8 foot, right?
Yep.
And 8 foot and 8 foot, so we don't have to like average anything. So hold it, just hold. What I'll have you do in this first one, if you remember, this is the edge. So this will be where the edge of the truss is, and then it'll be the center of that column. And then next we're gonna be center to center. So this will be to the center, so let's go ahead and mark 8. Hold your tape measure on there. I guess I can give you mine. Hold that on the...
Yep.
So 8 foot is right here. I'm gonna mark back 3/4 of an inch. So we just can line that up with our truss. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna mark, I'm gonna mark 8 foot and 95 1/4. Because 8 foot is where our drill is. Eight foot, 95 1/4. Okay. We could actually use a chalk line, which I don't have on me. We could use a chalk line to mark where we drill, so I don't have two lines to worry about. Alright, and we'll come back and we'll snap a line across those. That's where we'll actually drill.
Okay.
And then what was the... I'll grab it. This is one of the bays. We were... One side was 191 5/8, the other side was 192 1/4. So that's 5/8. We're going to split the difference, which is 5/16, right? 5/8 is 10/16. So we're going to go 5/16. So we'll just add, that'll be 192, or no, 10, 11, 12, 13. 191 13/16. 191 13/16. 1, 12, that's the center. I gotta come back 3/4, 191 1/16. Good. 191 13/16, back 3/4, 191 16. All right, so this is why we double check, because I was off by 1/8 with my math. So remark this, which in the grand scheme of things would not have mattered, but matters to me. How many you want to take?
5.
5? Jeez. Oh my God. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. I know it wasn't the most exciting thing, but if you guys are going to do this yourself, and that's what my channel's all about, is doing stuff on your own, you need to learn things like this. And one thing I wanted to talk about is just preparing these purlins in advance for the entire building. Our last build had drop purlins, which that was a little tricky, but on purlins that are on edge, I like to prepare them all so they're already all the way across the building. That way, once we start putting trusses up, we can just continually get trusses up, get purlins on, because that is the most vulnerable stage of your building, is when you don't have any metal on it, but the skeleton is all up. So we will even put all the purlin nails in, so that when we're ready to take them up, all we have to do is put them in place and then hammer them in the rest of the way. So the next video, we're going to be putting up the trusses and actually putting the purlins up. It was kind of difficult. My cameraman, Justin, was on vacation. Shame on him. But anyway, on our next build, we will show you how we use ratchet straps to maneuver those trusses and purlins to where we want them. But we appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget, we have a Patreon where every month we talk about a different topic of building, DIY building. We cover that topic in depth. We answer all your questions. It's a great, useful tool if you're gonna build on your own. But as always, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and we will catch you on the next video.